Alrighty. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kate with Scott Leroy Marketing. Today, I'm going to be going over email campaigns with you guys. So we are going to be looking in Command at creating those email campaigns. We're going to take a look at how to create the email design needed for that email campaign, as well as how to create the email list and send out that email campaign. Okay, so we're going to go through all of the motions and that full process of how to create and send those. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into Command. This is where we want to be for today's class if you're following along. Your home screen here can look a little bit different, so don't worry if you're seeing a little bit of different information. You can customize this home screen slightly. So whatever is important to you and your business and what you want to see first when you log in, okay? From here, the first thing that we want to take a look at before we start building our email design is we want to take a look at some of the back-end work that pulls into those designs. So we want to head into our websites applet on the left menu bar. So we're going to go ahead and click there. And you may be asking why we're going into websites for email campaigns. We're coming here because the marketing profile is now accessible through the websites applet, okay? So this manage settings on the right-hand side is where we want to go. So this used to be in the settings up here in your drop-down. It used to be under settings and marketing profile. It has moved to the websites applet, which is totally fine because it does pull all of this information to your website primarily. But it's also going to pull this information into some of your marketing in Command. For example, email design specifically. A lot of the information from here is going to pull straight to your design, specifically that header and footer. When you're using those in an email design, that's going to pull from here, okay? So making sure this is up to date and accurate is going to be super important because you can't update those email footers and headers in the actual design. You have to edit them here, okay? So first and foremost, make sure your contact information is up to date. Phone number, office number, your preferred email. If you have your website already set up, you want to grab that full URL and put that right here. Moving down, you have your Market Center details. You want to make sure you have your Market Center specific logo. Every office has their own individual logo, and you want to make sure that's the one you're using. Moving down, the Market Center name, phone number, address, if you have the license number. Once you're done with your contact information and everything here is accurate and up to date, go ahead and hit that save. You're going to want to save each individual section of the profile. There's no one save all for all of these, okay? The next section we want to go to is My Photo. This is where you want to add your headshot, okay? Your photo that's going to pull to your website, to your consumer app. It's also going to pull to that header and footer when you're using them in the design today. The next one is the team logo. Now, this is specifically important for today's class because the email footer automatically pulls the team logo. So if you're not on a team, you're still going to have a team logo space. And in many cases, if you don't have an image here, it's going to appear as a broken image when you send that design out. So very important to include some type of photo here. If you're not on a team, there's a couple of great options. You can add a generic KW logo that's not specific to your office. You can add your own branded logo if you've set yourself up as a branded solo agent. You can add that logo here. You can also add your headshot here again. We see that work really well. And once we get into the design, I'll show you specifically where this logo pulls to, so you can kind of determine what is best for you. Once you have those two items, though, again, hit that save. You're going to get your green banner, and then you can move on to your details. Now, here, you're going to want to make sure your name is filled out. Another one that is not required but very important for today's class is your agent license number. Some email designs will automatically have a merge tag that pulls this information. And if you don't have that information in your profile, you are going to see an error when you're trying to use that design. So more is better when it comes to the marketing profile, especially for email campaigns. So make sure you plug in your license number. Your professional title, this is another one that can be pulled in, so make sure you have something. Team is not really pulled in very much, but your designations and credentials, those do have a merge tag and can be pulled in. So if you have a design using those, you're going to see an error if this is blank. Moving down, if you have military affiliations, you can certainly plug those in. It goes as far as supporters, patriots, family members, etc. Make sure your bio is updated here. Again, that's going to pull to that website and consumer app that you're sharing. And once you're done, go ahead and hit that save again, okay? Now, next is preferences. We're going to skip over this one. It's not relevant for today's class. Same for service areas. Legal footer and compliance can sometimes come into play if you are determining that you'd like to pull those in. So if you are an office that requires any of these types of information in your legal footer, you want to make sure those are updated. You can have links, you can have images, and you can also just have text, okay? So any of those can be added. Next are your social links. These can be merge tags and they can be added to your designs. So for today's class, you do want to make sure you plug these in. It is going to be the full public-facing URL. So I always recommend view your profile on a desktop like a consumer would, or friend or family. Someone that's not you that has logins, view that profile like they would. Grab that URL from the browser and then you can plug that in here, okay? Once you're done, hit that save. Next is referral links and forced registration. Again, neither of those are going to be important for today's class, so we're going to skip over them. And same for subdomain, okay? So now that we've gone through our profile and everything is up to date and accurate, we're going to go ahead and go back. And we're going to go back to our home page so we can all kind of start from a familiar place. And the next thing we want to do is we want to head into designs because before we create our email campaign, we want to create the email design that we are going to use. So we're going to head into designs. Looks like a paintbrush with canvas behind it. Now, when you click that, you're going to see previous designs that you've created within your command platform. So if you haven't created anything yet, you may not have anything here. You can search designs, filter them, sort them, change the view of them. So lots of options here. I do want to point out that these each have a different type of design that they are, okay? So you have email designs, you have social designs, you'll also have print designs. I'm not seeing any on this page, but let's see if we can find one. Print, okay? So there are 3 different types of designs you'll see here, technically 4 because there's video as well. So there's email, social, print, and video. The only design that you can use for an email campaign is an email design. So if you're creating a social graphic, you're going to need to download that social graphic and add it to your email design. So if you're creating one that is under social and you're going to create your campaign and wondering why you're not seeing your design, that is why. When you are creating a campaign, it is required to be an email template, okay? With that being said, let's go ahead and create one. So let's do create design in the top right. And we want to make sure we select email, okay? Then we're going to do next. And when we do that, we're going to be provided with some various templates. Now, when I say you have to use an email template, you are not required to use one of these templates. You just have to be creating an email design. Okay, we will take a look at these, but before we do, we're going to create an email design from scratch. Okay, so we're going to actually create new design in the top right corner. Thank you. I actually had the pink one before and somehow my computer reset and it went away. So when someone mentioned that in my class this week, I was like, oh no. Okay. Now we are brought into our email editor. Okay, this is where we can start creating our design, we can start customizing it and adding all of the fun stuff to it. So at the top, you're going to have a space for your title. We can go ahead and plug one in. I'm just going to name it campaigns class and change our date. Oops, and it doesn't like that today. Can't tell. Now, once you type your title, you could just click out of that box. You don't have to save or anything. Moving along in this very top banner, the next options we have are over here on the right. We have preview. That allows us to take a preview of our design and what it will look like when it's sent out. We have a test email option where we can send ourselves a test email again, so we can preview it and see everything. And then we have the download template option. Next to that, save and close, and exit. Okay, so pretty self-explanatory for those. Moving down to our next banner, we have different previews that we can view our design on. So we can view it as a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile device. That allows us to see how our email design is going to translate, because obviously when you're viewing an email on a computer, it is going to look very different than on a mobile device, okay? Because it has to compact things down. So you want to make sure whatever design you're creating looks good on a mobile device as well. Moving over, you can view components. Woo, I can't talk today. That allows you to see the different pieces of your email design and kind of the layout. You have preview, again, undo and redo. And then moving over to our right, this is where we can really start building our design, okay? You have the blocks, which is going to include your layout and your content pieces. You also have your background. If you want to change the background of your design, you can. So you can adjust the width of the email. You can adjust the container padding. When you think of padding, you kind of want to think of the border or spacing around that specific item. You can also adjust the background color or use an image if you'd like, okay? To change the color, you just click in the space where the color is and you can find whatever color you want to use. It's going to change the entire layout for that, okay? Now I'm going to go back to white. Red's a little hard on the eyes for email designs, so we're going to keep it simple for today's class. I do want to point out that if you have a hex number, you can use that instead. If you're using an image, you just come in here and hit replace, and it's going to allow you to pull in whatever image you'd like to use, and it will put that as the background, okay? And again, we're going to go back to color, leave it white for today's class, and we're going to move back to blocks. We're going to start with layout. Now, layout is something you can use. You don't have to use it, but if you want to create specific sections of your email, you can. There are these different ones. You have one column, two columns, three. You have a 3-7, and you also have a divider. And I just want to point out I'm dragging and dropping these. Wherever that green line is going to determine where that is dropped, okay? So if I were to drop that divider right there, it's only over that one small section, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and delete these. Another thing I just want to point out, you have to make sure that you're clicking on the right thing depending on what you are trying to do. If we were wanting to work in this column, we can certainly click in that. If we're wanting to work in the entire thing and maybe move it, or maybe we want to delete it, you need to click in the outer space of that specific item so that you have that entire piece, because you can't delete one column, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and leave our one column as well as our divider. With these columns, you can, of course, change the color if you want to. You can add a border. You can change the width of the border. You can change the color of the border. Let's just go here. You can change the radius. That's going to give you rounded, more pill shape corners, as you can see. So lots of customability here, depending on what you might be looking for. I'm going to go ahead and now delete this. We're not going to actually keep this here. The divider, same thing. We can adjust the height of that, make it thicker. We can adjust the color. The padding, as I mentioned before, this is kind of the spacing above, below, and to the sides. You also will sometimes have the option for position. Do you want it left aligned, center aligned, right aligned? This one's going all the way across, so it doesn't really matter. However, if we were making it a smaller one, we could then adjust how we want that to be aligned. Okay? We'll go ahead and delete this one too. And those are your layout options. Now moving down to the rest, okay? I always like to start my emails with the header and the footer, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and pull these in. Now once I pull those in, you'll notice that it looks like I need to edit these. It looks like it's missing information. This is where I said that marketing profile we were first taking a look at is very important, okay? So if we go ahead and preview our design, you're going to see that all of that information is actually there and it's pulling directly from that marketing profile, okay? So we have our office logo, we have our personal information, we have our office information, and then you have your team information, okay? So this is why you're seeing that logo. If you did not have a team logo here, it is still going to pull a photo. In many cases, it shows up exactly like this on the actual email design when it's sent out. So that's why I said it appears as a broken photo. So make sure you add something there, okay? Um, it does pull the office address twice. There is no way to edit or customize that. Currently, there's only one office address in the marketing profile. So there's no way to add two different addresses here. Okay. But this is why I said sometimes your headshot works great as an alternative because it is above your information. All right. We'll keep plugging along. So we're just gonna start creating this email using all of these different content pieces. So we'll go ahead and start with the text. We'll just say hello. And let's say we want to address our contact by their first name when we're sending this to them. There are merge tags right here. And you'll see that there are some agent ones. These are going to pull those details, designation, bio. It's going to pull those from that marketing profile. So that's why I said if you are using one of these and you don't have that plugged in, you may find yourself seeing an error. Moving down under agent, you're also going to find some market center ones. Below that, you have your legal footer. Again, if you're in an office that requires that, you can pull that in. And then lastly, you have some contact ones, okay? So first name, last name, email, phone number, anniversary, and birthday. It will pull that specific information directly from the contact's contact card when it emails them. So if we want to do hello Susie, hello Johnny, whatever the name may be, it will plug that name in for us. Now, once we have whatever we want to type, you can adjust your font if you want to. You can adjust the size of that if you want to. There is bold, italic, underline. You can adjust the color. Not as wide of a variety of color here, but you can select any of these colors, okay? You can change the alignment if you need numbers, bullets, links, emojis, all of that can be added here. You can always adjust your width and the padding. You'll see that throughout the entire design. You can also add that border, okay? So again, it will add that border around, color, radius, however you want to do that, whatever looks best to you, okay? Once you have your text plugged in, I'm not going to write out a whole thing because just want to show you guys how to do it. But once you have that put in there, you can go ahead and go back. Take a quick peek at the chat. Currently there's not a way to adjust the number. You can try to adjust it in the marketing profile, but usually I haven't seen it adjust it. It will pull like this. I think yours is pulling similar. I think you may have an extra digit. You can try to adjust it in your profile, but you can't edit these email and footer directly. So everything has to be adjusted in the marketing profile to see if it will change. There's no way to edit these. All right. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pull in an image. Again, these are all drag and drop. And that green line is going to let you know where that's going to fall. Now, when I am using an image, there are a couple of options. You'll see that it pulls up my images. Now, I just want to mention that these are not images that you've created in Command. These are not images that you uploaded. These are strictly images you've used in a past email campaign design or email design. So they're not pulling from your designs. We get questions on that. Like I created a social design. Can I come in here and plug it? You can't. You'd have to upload it first. Okay. So for example, let's just go into Command and grab one really quick. we'll just download this one really fast. I'm just going to download this as a PNG or JPEG. Either one is fine. We're going to download. And then I'm going to upload this. So we're going to go back to our design. We're going to come to add images, okay? We're going to go ahead and browse. I'm going to grab this one and this one. I'm going to use this one first, but we're going to come back and grab this one in a minute. So once I upload my design or my images, I still need to click whichever one I want to use now. So you'll see the blue border around it, and I'm going to hit save, and it's going to plug that image into that exact space, okay? Now with that, we can link it. So if we want them to click on that photo and be redirected to our website or wherever else, you can add a web address. We'll just grab this one for fun, and you just plug that in. We can adjust our width if we don't want it to go all the way across. We can change that padding. Again, that's the space above and below. If we want to align it, radius. So all of the same things we've had kind of throughout, okay? Now, once my image is there, I'm going to go ahead and go back. And now we can move into our next item, okay? I just want to point out, if we were to grab an image now I see both of those because I've already uploaded them, okay? So you always want to add your images and then you can start using them. Now, the next thing we want to use for this class is a button, okay? Now, buttons are great if you want to have a call to action, whether you want them to click here to learn more, RSVP, sign up, whatever the case may be, buttons are great for that. You can change the text here, so whatever you want it to say. You can link it to a landing page from your website or use a website address. You can change the width. So do you want it to fill the content, which is the text, or do you want it to fill the entire container? So those are just options. You could change the color. What's great is you have a little dropper. So if you're wanting to be consistent throughout your design, you can grab whatever color from your image and use that. You can change that text, the size. You can change the color of the text. So maybe let's grab a darker color here. Padding, again, same as the space, position, border, all of those are the same, okay? But that would then have that button available. They can click on that and go to wherever you're redirecting them or wherever that web address is linked to. All right, moving to our next item. We've already done the header and the footer, so our next one is a listing block. Now, when we pull in that listing block, it's going to have a place for a photo, the address, the city, state, zip code, the price, some details about the house. And you'll see we have an autofill from listing, okay? So if we go ahead and click that, you'll see that we're brought in to select a listing. Now with that, you want to see if you are selecting from all listings or just your own. You can search by address, MLS number, or the KWLS ID. And then you want to search for the property here, okay? I'm going to go ahead and just grab one off the front here just to save us some time. In clicking on that listing, it's going to show us the photos. I can select which one I want to use, and we have all of the listing details, okay? It's pulling, again, directly from the MLS. And when I plug that in, it's going to plug in all of those details. Now I can come over here and confirm that they're accurate, change something if it's incorrect. I can also link this to a property page. So maybe I have a listing landing page, or maybe I just want to redirect them to that specific property on my website. I can pull that URL and plug it in here, and it will redirect them there. Now, same as before, we can adjust our font if we want to be consistent throughout our entire email. If we want to change that color, we can. Let's just grab a random color here. Obviously, that's not very pretty, but we can do our padding again, position, and then this one does have a layout option. There is the horizontal and the vertical, okay? Now, one thing I want to mention here is when we are using horizontal, if someone is viewing this on their phone, it is going to be vertical, okay? So that's why I say make sure you check your design as you're creating it a little bit throughout to make sure whatever you're creating is what you want it to be, because maybe this is too big and we don't want it that big. You can resize it. but viewing it on the mobile is going to give you the best view because a lot of people do use their mobile device these days for emails. So definitely check that out. And that is the listing block. And you can have as many as those as you want. It will require you to put a listing. So let's just grab another one here off the front. Just keep it simple. Grab the front photo. And there we go. So again, we can add as many as we'd like. Okay. Next item is the event block. Okay. Go ahead and drag that one in. Now, an event block consists of a few different things. Okay. You can't delete specific pieces of this. You can only enter them. So if you don't want all of these pieces to be included, you kind of just want to create your own. But the event block is going to include a space for a photo, a date and time. You could put whatever text here if you wanted to, though. A title, a description, and a button. Okay. So this is great if you have a client event coming up. Maybe you're giving out turkeys or pies for the holidays. And you want to put some information out about it to your clients. Maybe you just have an open house coming up and you want to include that in here as an event and redirect them to the property page. Whatever the case may be, this is great for that because again, it has all of these pieces already in one little box. And you'll complete them the same way. So you click on the photo, we can grab, let's just grab a property here. We can change the date and time. What is this weekend? The 15th. Let's do 1 o'clock. Now, again, we can change the font, the text, the size, the color, all of that stuff. I'm going to leave it though for this one. We can change this to say open house. We can change our description. I'm going to keep it simple. And then we can change our button. Okay. And the same thing here. Let's just do learn more. We can add our link, whatever link you have. If you want to change the width, color, text, all of that good stuff, you can adjust that as well. But then we have our event block, okay? Mine again doesn't look very pretty because there's not a ton here, but that's a great way to utilize that specific piece, okay? Now our next content piece is a video, okay? So let's say instead of an open house, you were doing a turkey or pie or something like that, and you wanted to put a video in there about Thanksgiving and whatever. You can add a video. Now the video does need to be on a public platform, so it would need to be on YouTube or Vimeo or another platform. But you can then come in here and put that URL. We'll just grab one here from our YouTube. And then you do need to grab a photo, okay? It is going to require you to add a thumbnail. So you'll have to create a photo or add one. I'm just going to go with this one for this specific example. And then that thumbnail will be above that video. Now, when they get this, they'll be able to click on that in the email, watch the video. So that's a great way to utilize that. Now, with that being said, you can still adjust the width if you don't want it as large. Padding, position, border, all of those things can still be adjusted as well. Okay, go back. All right, and now we have our last item. We have a market snap. Okay, this allows you to give kind of a neighborhood snapshot of what's going on in a specific area. Now, fingers crossed this is working because on my last class it wasn't. But let's give it a go. Let me grab the zip code really quick here. So to do this, you grab a zip code, whatever zip code you are looking to use. And once you grab that zip code, you'll be able to select from a specific neighborhood in that zip code. Okay, let's just pick one here. Once I select that neighborhood, it's going to start to populate statistics based on what's going on in that specific neighborhood. Okay, now we can change the header of this. So I'm just going to put Lake Como, keep it simple, but you can make it whatever you want. One thing I want to point out with these market snaps, because we get questions on it sometimes, you cannot adjust the statistics that are pulling here. Okay, so if you do not feel like these are accurate, if you have found different information, you'd want to create your own image with a map or whatever you want to provide those statistics. But unfortunately, these can't be edited. You can adjust the font, the colors of it, the padding, the position, the border, but the actual stats that are pulling cannot be adjusted. Okay. And it's working today, so that's great. I'm gonna go ahead and go back. And that is the rest of our email. So we've created an entire email from scratch. I know it's not very pretty, but hopefully you learned how to use these different pieces. Now, one thing I want to show you guys before we move on is for this contact first name. When you send yourself a test email, it is going to show up exactly as you see it here. It is going to say, hello, contact first name. When you are sending yourself a test email, you are only entering an email address. It is not associating your email address with a specific contact. So it is not going to pull a contact name. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you want to test that though, you can do that by using the preview. And when we pull the preview, there's a new little search button up here that wasn't here before we plugged that in. We can pull any contact from our database and it's going to show you exactly how they're going to see it. Okay, so it's going to plug in their first name so you can see that it is working. All right. Other questions I get, unsubscribe. Your emails sent through command are automatically going to have an unsubscribe option. It is not visible on test emails or previews. You will see it only when an actual email is sent out. And they have the option to unsubscribe from this specific email or all emails that you send. Okay, so there's a couple of options for them. All right, once we're done, let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to go ahead and close it. And our email design is right here. So I can come back in and make additional edits, whatever I want to do. Before we get into the email list and actually sending our email, I just want to take a quick look at the templates with you. So we're going to go back to create, hit email, and then we're going to select a template. Now there's a lot of them. Why work with me, just sold. There's a holiday one right here. You can use it for any holiday. Let's go ahead and grab this one. Let's see if I've got like maybe a happy Thanksgiving image. Just grab this one. All right, so this email is already created. It already has all of this information. If we preview it, it's going to plug in all of our details. It already has a contact first name. We can check that again. With these templates, you want to read through them or edit the text fully. But down here, again, it's going to have that information pulling from your marketing profile. Okay. So we just come in and edit the information we want to. So if I want to replace this photo, let's go ahead and just upload one. Let's grab this one. Let's make this divider a little more, yeah, let's make it go with our design a little bit more. Let's move it down. There we go. Now we can come in and edit this here. We can change the text. We can, maybe we are doing a pie giveaway. We can say, hey, we'd love to tell you how thankful we are, whatever, type whatever. And then this is where you can come get your pie. You'll see this one is utilizing the agent first name merge tag. So it's going to automatically plug in your name. Let's go ahead and change these two just to make it all look real pretty. Ooh, if I could get on that line. There we go. All right, now we can preview this. I'm not going to edit the text for today's class, but that is how you would do that. You'd edit each of that and you'd be all set, okay? So these templates are a lot easier because again, it's got a lot of the work done for you. You could still come in and add a video. You could come in and add a listing block. Whatever you want, you can still pull those in. Totally up to you. So just because it has information doesn't mean you can't add more or remove some. If you don't want this here, you can delete it. I'm going to go ahead and save and close. I don't think I actually saved that one, but that's okay. And from here, we're going to go into campaigns, okay? We have a few different places you can get designs from. I'll pull the different places in just a second. I can link those before the end of class, like stock photos that are free. All right, so we're in campaigns. We want to head into emails. Once we're in emails, you're going to see that we have an overview of our email campaigns. We can see how many we've mailed, 30 days, month to date, year to date, whatever. Recipients, opens, clicks. Down below, we can search for old emails that we've sent out. We can filter them based on mailed, scheduled, archived, drafted. We can filter them based on the goal. When you're creating an email campaign, you do set a specific goal. What is your purpose? And then we can adjust our email list. We're going to come right back to this. Moving down, you have your email name. Now, this is internal. Nobody sees this but you, so name these whatever is easiest for you to remember. You'll see the status, whether it is mailed, drafted, canceled, etc. You have the date, sent, sent, opens, clicks, the goal. Then you have three little dots to edit, duplicate, or archive. If we were to click in one of these that has been already sent, you'll see we don't have the edit. We can still archive or duplicate. And if we click into one of these, we will see all of the details as to who it was delivered to, who opened it, who clicked on something, who unsubscribed, who it did not get sent to. Maybe their email provider blocked the email. You can come in here and try to resend them. Maybe there's an issue with their email. You also get to see the not opened, okay? So it allows you to see their name, their email, their phone number, etc. Okay? It will show that for all of them once they're sent. Okay? The next thing we want to take a look at is going to be our email list. So in order to send an email campaign, you do have to create a list. You can create a list and add everyone in your database to the list, but you have to create a list to send an email campaign. So if we want to get started with that, we can hit create a list or create list. We can search by tags. Maybe we're looking for people with a specific tag. Maybe we're looking at past clients. We want to tag for that. We can pull them up. We can then scroll all the way to the bottom, load more until we've loaded everyone, and then we can go ahead and select all, okay? And then we can add them to an email list. So let's just do class 1113. I'm going to confirm, and we'll have a new list with how many contacts. I can edit that list. I can delete it. One thing I like to mention with lists, if you are using tags, if you are adding everyone to your database, no matter what, if you are adding new people to your database with that same tag, or if you are just adding new people, you are going to have to edit your list, okay? You're going to have to add anyone that has that tag or anyone new. You're going to have to add them. It will not manually add them for you, okay? Next thing, we want to go ahead and create our campaign, okay? Now it's going to ask what type. We are doing email. We're going to put our name. So let's just do class 1113. I'm just going to do this as other because we kind of just created a newsletter. We're not attracting listings, talent, awareness, whatever. So we're going to go other and create. And now we're brought in to actually create our design. At the top, we see the campaign name. Again, internal for you to remember. You can change the goal still. You're going to see the account. You're going to see the send to list. This is where you can find your email list. You also create and edit. We just find that doing it first saves some errors sometimes. We don't always see errors, but it definitely helps. Next, you have your send from. So the name that they will see in your inbox. If they reply to an email, where that reply is forwarded to, you can edit that in the settings of your command. It will be down here under command mail. Okay, you can hit manage. You see how many emails you have left for the month. You get 5,000 per month included. Anything beyond 5,000, you'd want to upgrade and pay for a subscription. You can do that here. You can adjust the sender name that they will see as well as the reply to email. Now, the reason it says the reply to email, not the sender email, any email sent from command is automatically using an email that says agent, mailer, a bunch of numbers at kw.com. You can't change that. All you can do is decide where the replies are sent to, okay? And you'll get notified of a reply, and then you can check that email. Okay. Moving down, you have your subject. Now, this is what they will see. Uh, Actually, I'm just going to keep this simple for today. But this is what they will see in their inbox. So make sure whatever you're adding here is kind of catching. They'll want to click into it. Next, you select your design. This is where I said it's very important that you created an email design, because if you created a social design or print, it's not going to appear here and you're going to be asking why. Okay. So we have ours right here at the top. We can see it and go ahead and click that one. It's going to allow us to come in and make any last minute changes, edits that we'd like to make. We can go ahead and save. We have our preview on the right-hand side where we can check everything out. We can still update the design. And then from here, we have some actions where we can preview the test, preview the email, or send ourselves a test email. And we can go ahead and schedule or send now. We can also save. I'm going to go ahead and schedule. Do this for the 15th. I guess it didn't save. Oh, I gotta scroll down, I think. Schedule. And now we say it says our email has been successfully scheduled. Okay. We see it here. You can still come in and edit. Once you have sent that email, it is going to show processing. Okay. It's going to show processing for approximately 24 hours. Once it's been 24 hours since it's been sent, you'll start to see some of the numbers plug in, but it usually does take 24 hours for that to start showing. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You're going to see processing for a while. I'm going to go ahead and cancel. And before we move on, I want to see if I can show you a test email so you can see what those look like. I'm not sure if I still have one. Oh, I do. All right, so let me pull this over. This is an old one, so don't worry about that. But this is what that would look like. So I sent a test email. It's going to say contact first name. It's not going to have the unsubscribe at the bottom, but when this is actually sent out, it will have that, okay? And this is what I mean. It's going to be an agent mailer email, okay? All righty, let me pull this back over. And that is everything I want to cover with you guys today. So we are done a little bit early today, which is okay because I'm going to stick around for questions. So if you have any, drop them in the chat. I know there's one I need to go back to. If you don't have questions and want to hop off, that is totally fine too. Thank you for coming. Hope this was helpful. And hopefully we'll see you again. Yeah, let's go ahead and stop recording and go to those questions.